Speed spec. So speed specialist has 1,000 more health than every other specialist. That's a ton. We're just gonna go ahead and grab that. Speed specialist also is sick. So sabers are really good versus single squad openers like arclights, like other other saber-tooth, tarantula, stuff like that. They're not great versus like Mustang and crawler openers, like mass swarmy openers. So what does he have? He's got Stormcaller and Crawler. So Stormcaller, not actually that bad, mostly because we have Speed Specialist and we can actually run through the missiles quicker. So that's actually not bad for us. That's one perk of Speed is you're more effective against units that can miss, and Stormcallers are a unit that can absolutely miss if the unit is too fast. So our Fangs are almost running at 10 move speed, which is nice, and our Sabers are running at 11 move speed, which is now great because we can actually dodge missiles as long as we're not stuck attacking something. And then we have, I don't know what else he's gonna do. He is quick supply. But we also do not run anti-missile on my Sabers. I do think Hounds would be better here. I think Hounds are better versus Stormcallers than Arclights are. So we'll go with Hounds. We'll start with Hounds, and we'll start off on like the side of the board here. We'll get some Fangs out here. All right, well that third Fang didn't go down, but it's fine. The Hounds basically are going to be able to help us a lot with the Crawlers, and they're also fast, so they'll be able to really capitalize on jumping on the Stormcaller. Get 'em, Hounds! Get 'em, Hounds! Arclight would have been an okay choice, but I think Arclight is definitely a weaker choice, specifically versus the Stormcaller. We are speed spec, so it does make it a little bit better for us, but it's still slow enough to get hit by the missiles, and Stormcallers can devastate Arclights with missiles, and we don't actually have anti-missile on Saber, so the idea of just going Saber Arclight feels less good, because we can't shut down the Stormcallers at all, unless we use different units. So it's more investment just to shut down the Stormcaller, which is why ultimately we decided to go for the Hounds. All right. Deployment module, a shield airdrop, a mobile beacon. Okay, let's go ahead and do a shield airdrop. Let's do another Saber and another Hound. And let's put a Saber like over here. Let's put a Hound like over here. That just gets on top of the Stormcallers right away. And let's get ourselves... We can grab ourselves a barrier. Debating where I want to put it. Maybe put it here, actually. And maybe we'll put it like right here. There. So the Saber's a little bit ahead of the Hounds, and he's got the mirrored comp. He's got 3 Crawlers in the back behind the towers, 2 Stormcallers at the towers, and 2 Arclights in front of the towers. All G. We'll put a barrier over on one side here. This barrier might die, but it's okay. It'll still help regardless. It'll block a lot of the damage. And he did the other side. And Malice, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. Okay, so we're getting a nice engage overall, trying to get in there. Our Sabers are down on the left. Right side looking a lot better, but left side struggling a little bit. We got rid of all the Crawlers. And now we're trying to get rid of the fangs. I do not think we're going to win the round overall. The Arclights and the Stormcaller are going to crush us here. But not too bad. Not too bad. Wasp Swarm, Rhino Assault. Here, because Wasp Swarm is a problem, and also here's again another. This is what I mentioned earlier. How I think Phoenix is one of the best units you can make. It's a really strong single target unit. Here's a beautiful thing we can do with this now. Let's go ahead. Let's grab ourselves anything we want here, really. But I'll just go ahead and grab the Rhino Assault because Wasp Swarm existed on that, and so does a Rhino Swarm or a Rhino drop, whatever. Rhino Assault. Wasp Swarm and Rhino Assault. We're going to respect the Wasp by getting a couple of Fangs and putting them behind the towers. Just be extra respectful. And let's unlock a Phoenix and grab a Phoenix specifically on the same side that has a barrier. And now at the same time, so now we're protected from a Wasp Swarm. We're protected from a Wasp Swarm. We're protected from a Wasp Swarm. Let's also drop a Rhino here. So we're protected from a Rhino that could be here. The Rhino, if a Rhino gets dropped in the middle, there's a ton of Fangs that'll come approach it and it'll buy a lot of time. I don't know if the Phoenix will probably not go kill it, but it's okay. But the Rhino now on the right, Rhino guards the right side in case he drops a Rhino or a Wasp over here too, which helps protect the Fangs. And we can just send it with that. So it's a Rhino on the left. So now my Phoenix should turn around and my Fangs should hold it. One Phoenix decided to not turn around, but it's okay. If both turned around, it would kill it even faster, but it's okay. The Rhino is still getting killed before my tower dies, which is very nice. So we respected the drops and we protected our towers. You don't always have to do it defensively, but that's the power of a Phoenix right there for you. Power of the Phoenix. The Rhino's next slap would have been the tower. Yeah. It's always going to be kind of close when the units are level 1, regardless, but it would have been not as close if both Phoenix turned around like they were supposed to. Alright, so now his army doesn't really have a great answer to Rhino. He doesn't really have good DPS. The Stormcaller is his best DPS, and they are good DPS, but they miss. Whenever the unit's fast, they miss. Rhino could deal with that. We already have Phoenix, which could deal with Wraith. If we put another Phoenix on the right side of the board, if we put a Phoenix in every quadrant of the board, it would shut down every quadrant of Wraith, and in the future, it would also shut down every quadrant of Rhino drop. But I think we're going to go with Rhino Assault. And we're going to put them, like, on the sides. They're going to come out a little late. They're not going to rush super fast. So, again, they help guard our flanks. And they help guard our flanks, and they come and pressure the tower as well, which will be pretty nice. I think right now there are a lot of Arclights. This guy has 4 Arclights, and he has a lot of Chaff. What's the best thing on my board versus Chaff? It's 100% the Hounds. And Hounds right now are not really being supported because they're running into Arclights and they're dying. So we need 2 things. I would say we need either more Hounds to kill Chaff quickly before we're dead, or we need some Chaff, or we need both. So this round, let's go ahead and do something like this. Let's research a Crawler. Let's buy a Hound. Let's research range on Hounds. Put a Hound right here. Put a Crawler pack like over here. And now we have Rhinos helping to tank for the Crawlers. Or sorry, Rhinos are now helping tank for the Hounds. And we have Hounds that keep themselves safer with range, which in turn now allows us to kill Chaff nicer. Fangs and Crawlers, because Hounds are exceptional versus those. They do AoE with like minor damage. These things are hitting for 492, which is like not a ton because it's not even in the thousands yet, but it's plenty for a Chaff unit. And then we have Yeah, now the hounds are also protecting the Phoenix too, a lot more from like fangs and whatnot. So our board is coming along. The rhinos also are very nice. Especially the right one. Just completely crushed that side. All right, that rhino just got level 3. Rhino is sick. Rhino is sick. Okay, this game's pretty early. Round 5. Round 5 is not too late in the game. If this was like round 9, I would be, you know, more... if I was like, this game might end this turn, I might not want to buy this. But this game is absolutely not ending this turn. These fights we're having are... Neither one of us is doing like thousands of damage to each other every turn. These are like light turns. So we're going to go ahead and take efficient light manufacturing. They're mild damage to each other is what I'm saying. Let's go ahead and level my rhino. Let's go ahead and level my hounds. Level my saber. We could use it. We could also use some single target DPS because there's a lot of fire badgers out there. So let's get ourselves another phoenix. And let's maybe even grab ourselves another... Okay, so there's chaff here, chaff here, chaff here, chaff here. Hounds are in every quadrant that there is chaff. So there is like no chaff that is going uncontested. 4 crawlers is, or sorry, four hounds is definitely kind of light on the, it's kind of like mild investment on the chaff clear, but we'll go ahead and let it be. I think we also, let's just grab ourselves another rhino. This thing will come out the middle. Grab ourselves a barrier here in case he missile devices that stacked up hound pack with crawlers. Because no matter where we barrier, it's going to get crushed by Stormcrawler anyways, unless I get anti-missile. But for now, I still don't think we necessarily need it. Now he has Ignite on Fire Badger. So these units now do % damage. A great addition to my army right now could actually be armor on hounds, because we could actually turn off the Fire Badger's attack pretty hard with armor. And then if we turn off the Fire Badger's attack a lot more, we kill chaff longer and we don't struggle with the Phoenix here. Phoenix have so many things to kill right now. We could also get siege. I could go like Stormcrawlers myself. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and do kind of what I was just saying. Let's look at what else we can do here too. We have Fangs and we have Phoenix. So Wasp isn't necessarily the scariest option here for if he takes it. If I take a Wraith would go hard unless he makes a Raiden or a Melting Point. I think what we should do, honestly, is we should probably just go for a Raiden. Reason why is he has so much power in the front of his army, and he's very Fang light. If I take a Raiden, I don't even need to necessarily upgrade this thing, and we have a lot of like what... This Raiden would also help counter any of the other units on this choice, just by being able to pepper damage into it and start helping pick it off. But the Phoenix, the fact that the Phoenix exists means I'm really not scared of anything here. Phoenix can beat all of this, if especially with Fangs against the Wasp. So we'll take the Raiden, and we'll just put the Raiden like on a direct center engage. Let's go ahead now this round as well, and let's grab armor on. Let's do this. Let's just do one anti-missile device on each side. I'm feeling like these Stormcrawlers are being annoying. Let's get armor enhancement on hounds. And there is even more chaff than there was before. So let's get a couple more hounds. And let's really make sure we have enough hounds to control this board. And from this point on, we can also do things like, you know, incorporate more tanks. I don't think making more chaff is necessarily a great idea because there's so many Fire Badgers. There's a lot of Fire Badger. That's 5 squads of Fire Badger, so that's 15 Fire Badger. And now he has a melting point. He has 2 melting points. So Rhino also maybe not going to be the best choice. But the fact that the hounds have armor definitely is helping a lot. Because they're not dying nearly as fast now to the Fire Badger. Surviving way longer. The arc lights are still a problem though. Intensive training. I don't think we should worry about going rhinos much anymore. This is now a melter game. This is melter badger. I think one thing that would be really good for us here, his whole army is very slow. We could use siege ourselves. We definitely could use siege. I don't have EMP on my Raiden, so that's less of an appealing option. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do Stormcaller. I think Stormcaller Siege right now actually adds a lot of power to our army. We'll add in like 4 of them. I can't do all 4 this round, but I will add 4 overall. Let's upgrade this right hound. And let's give my hounds rage. Let's also drop a rhino. I'm not really worried about my base getting dropped on with rhinos. Let's drop a rhino on the right though, where Stormcallers aren't helping yet. So we can have something that can tank for my hounds before this rhino gets in there, so that they don't just die right away. Actually, to be honest, we should do this. Here's what we should do, honestly. We should put 3 storms over here like this. And we could fill out storms over here next time. The reason why, there's a barrier here. And this barrier is gonna not die. We'll get damage as well. But that barrier is gonna be very hard to kill for hounds. Hounds don't do like that much damage right now. So having some Stormcaller DPS will really help penetrate into that barrier and get rid of it a lot faster to allow us to actually kill stuff like the Fire Badger and actually start earning some experience. All right, so we're getting through it. Hounds are actually getting some kills. Still too much. We might be dead, actually. Am I dead? I'm dead. GG. Alright, well, there you go, guys. Holy God. Yeah, this game, we have, like, first of all, we're using fangs and sabers as an opener with hounds. Our army definitely has some awkward movement speed, some awkward momentum going on. We have, if we make more crawlers here, with the fact that this is a lot of Fire Badger, the crawler is not really going to necessarily benefit us very much either. They're just going to be running into the Fire Badgers because there's so many of them and dying pretty hard. I do think if we would have gone for things like Stormcaller a little faster, this could have been nice. I think if we would have went for something like Mustang this game with range, would have been nice. Main reason why is if we just had more range than we do, this particular board is actually not the worst versus hounds because there's a lot of arc lights peppered in to also shoot the hounds when the concave is happening. Because the Fire Badgers actually do get stuck on hounds pretty hard simply for the fact that we have armor. We're turning this damage into basically no damage at all. But the Stormcaller, the melting point, he has multiple Stormcallers himself, and he's got melting points, and he's got the arc light specifically. These things are getting through the hounds a lot faster. So his board definitely was able to punish ours a lot more. Yep. Yep. Rhinos were good until Melter really came into play, and sometimes this is just kind of how the game goes. I feel like sometimes you have to just understand that RNG like whatever strategy you have in mind, whatever build you're going for, whatever you're trying to do, sometimes the game will throw RNG situations at both of you that can really counter what you're doing. And sometimes it's not as easy to pick a good option. So the fact that we're going into rhinos, the rhinos are starting to be successful, and then melters come into play. And we also have no cover for them, where we have literally nothing that runs in with them. We have one crawler pack, and all these hounds are, you know, they're in the concave, but they're also dying. It's, if our opponent didn't have melters, oh boy, would they have done a lot better, but, you know, that's, you gotta always be aware of stuff like that. A cool thing we could have done too, one thing you can do as well is, like, if you really think about your units, one thing I could have done this game a little differently is I could have actually upgraded Final Blitz, and I could have put my rhinos maybe a little bit closer. I could have put instead of putting my rhinos so far back, I could have put them like maybe where the Stormcrawlers are, and I could have just upgraded Final Blitz so that they run in, and whenever they die, they explode whatever's around them and do a lot of damage to like the infrastructure of your opponent's army. And then if our opponent were to get like EMP on something, like let's say these Arclights have EMP, if we turn on photon emission and the rhino dies through photon coating, it still detonates for its Final Blitz while it's immune to being EMP'd. And it will die relatively fast as well because the melting point's there. So I'm not saying that's what we should have done, but it's an option we could have done. Things like that can definitely work. The whole board right here was just breaking apart for us. I think ultimately we really need anti-missile in this board, and we need the ability to start killing his hounds. Or sorry, we need the ability to start killing his fangs before my hounds are getting killed by his actual DPS. Like, he's got a lot of AoE in front of his DPS, and we have DPS leading the charge. We chose to do it because we had armor, but it still wasn't enough because he has more than just Fire Badger. Unupgraded Arclights and unupgraded Stormcaller were enough to really get it done. Our Phoenix weren't really able to get it done because once our hounds were dead, we have nothing to kill the fangs anymore. And this board has like 15 fangs on it. So, you know, there's a lot of fangs now in the way of my Phoenix that they can't just do anything. So yeah, just basically we don't have enough protection. We don't have enough time for our AoE, and then we just got out AoE'd with that board.